Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Grandstand Sports Data. Week 7 is in the books, and now it's time to roll into Week 8. We've got fresh model projections, proven systems, and bankroll strategies lined up to help you stay disciplined this week. So, whether you're a new bettor or a seasoned sharp looking for that extra edge, let's dive into the numbers and see what we have this week. All right, so jump into the benchmark model results. And we like to do these long term results or have our picks for this week or the upcoming week come off of something that has long term results. As you can see here, just from these three bet types, I think you can kind of get away from the spreads. It hasn't been profitable on the spreads in terms of having a benchmark model. Money lines we will touch on, and then the totals does move into profitability, almost 30 units for the last 5 years, as you can see from the record being 548 wins, 467 losses. If we move on to the money lines, yes, it doesn't show profitability, but if you can find out the money line win percentage, you can find out the break even rate. And as you can see, just from the 61.8 win percentage in the long run, that translates into minus 162 odds. So if your model selects a team to win and they fulfill the minus 162 odds or better, you would select that team if you are tailing a model. And speaking of that, this is in terms of a benchmark model, they would have the Houston Texans and Denver Broncos both winning this week, and both teams will satisfy that minus 162 odds. Uh, Please remember that it has to satisfy the minus 162 odds if you are going to tail the model. Denver being a little bit close to that threshold there. Houston, you look a little bit safe, but if you're just tailing the model, make sure to have that minus 162 odds. Right, so sticking with the money line theme here, you can see for the first two rows, we're going to have New Orleans and Tennessee fulfilling both of those. It's going to be the factors of rest and different divisional dog. So they are the divisional dog in the matchup, but they do have the better rest differential than their opponent, which would be the Tampa Bay Bucks this upcoming week. Now you can mix in that blowout dog. So teams that are coming off of a blowout loss, New Orleans does satisfy that, along with Tennessee, so that you can see the profitability in terms of those first two rows. And then the Denver Broncos will fulfill the last three, which is basically favorites on a high total, mixed with 620-mile rule, mixed with coaching, and then mixed with the Madden player rating. So those last three basically just mix and match or add in layering factors that just support Denver's case for the money line this week. Now moving on to some of the spread systems. So I know spreads are a bit different than the money lines, and here are some of the more profitable factors you could see in 620-mile rule mixed with coaching. You can see the teams that do fulfill this week would be Carolina, Houston, Denver, and Kansas City. Move on to favorites on a high total now, mixing in with that 620-mile rule. That was a bit better on the win percentage and profitability in terms of units. Denver and Kansas City once you give that extra layer. Speaking of extra layers, let's have the favorites on a high total mixed with rest and coaching. Well, Baltimore is going to satisfy that. Just remember that in this instinct, not having your lead dog or your quarterback in this matchup is something that you have to remember when it comes to your handicapping. Rest and divisional dog. This is going to be satisfied by the Saints, 10-5 in the last 2 years. So having the better rest and being the divisional dog, it was basically one of the same factors in the last one when it came to money lines, but it happens to be profitable on the spread side. And then just the same thing here with New Orleans and Tennessee. They were both on the money line with this blowout dog and divisional dog combo. But now, even on the spread, if you want to keep it safe, New Orleans and Tennessee, they satisfy that system. Now here's a look at the market variables that we're tracking. So first off, if the contrarian numbers are going to be built from this year and last year, so the last 2 years, while the bet percentage and money percentage are based only on this season. So just to keep you informed on that, the top row of each of these rows is going to reflect the spread performance, where the bottom row will reflect the money line performance. So as you can see on the contrarian, which means that we're fading the public, so this is going against the side that most bettors are on. We like the split of 70-30, and that's historically been a profitable approach, but the last 2 years it hasn't really done well in terms of what you see here. It's gone to negative unit size. But as you can see, those are the teams that fulfill this week. Let's move on to bet percentage. And this is simply tracking the number of tickets. So a lot of market readers will tell you that this is the public side, and the public side loses a lot. And as you can see just from this year, it looks a lot like that with the minus profitability and the minus rates of return. And these are the teams that you could see in the far right column that will reflect those teams with the higher bet slips. Moving on to money percentage, this is It's pretty simple. That where more of the money is. So just because you have more bets doesn't mean you have more money on you, and that's exactly what the money percentage is telling you. Who has more of the money? As you can see, it's been very profitable just on the money line this season. Uh, Remember, these numbers are as of the season when we're talking about these. Spreads should come around, but as you can see from these teams listed on the far right column, that's who satisfy that. Now, moving on to the last row, which is going to be the sharp side teams. And in the bottom row, this is basically signifying that the teams who have more bets but don't have more money are going to be the teams who are valued by the public. Well, the teams that are the opposite, so they do have more money, but not necessarily more bets, they're some of the sharp side teams. And as you can see, just through this year, it's been profitable on both the spread and the money line. And the teams that fulfill those are going to be the Baltimore Ravens and the New Orleans Saints. So the New Orleans Saints obviously keep popping up here. All right, so quick disclaimer. So this card is for educational purposes only. We built it together, basically step by step, using the systems, the benchmark model, right? And then the filters to highlight where value exists. So I'm not telling you who to bet. I'm just showing you how to spot value and put you in the best position to win. So let's start with the spreads here. We have the New York Jets as the first pick at +6.5. We feel like they were a very small play because they had a contrarian side to them in the market. Now moving to Carolina. We spotted everything for them. We spotted technical analysis in Carolina's favor on the spread. We spotted systems pointing in Carolina's way, and then we also spotted them as the contrarian play on the market. So I think this is a pretty decent play here, even at 3%. Uh, Not too bad when you're talking about Carolina. I think they fit a lot of what we're looking for this week in the betting market. Miami would be next. Very small play here. I would consider this because of the contrarian side. That's about it. So a very small play. Sticking with that theme would be New Orleans, even though there is a little bit of systems. We've seen it throughout this video. Systems pointing towards New Orleans throughout the whole video, and then also them having that sharp side. So I think maybe if you wanted to, you can bump this up, maybe even a couple percent. But we just wanted it at 1%, just because there was some technical support for Tampa to cover. So it made us a little bit nervous there. Finally, Denver at -3.5 at 1%. It was basically the same as, I want to say, New Orleans, but they just had a contrarian side instead of a sharp side to them. A little bit of mixed reaction when it came to the technical analysis, as Dallas did cover a lot of the times in some of the simulations that we've seen. Then, if you're looking at a money line play, I think Houston at -115 at 2%. Even if you wanted them to cover, I think picking them on the spread would not have been a crazy scenario neither, but we just wanted to have a money line play here just in case. So just remember, you guys can mix and match as long as you're sticking to your bankroll allocations. Remember, no one pick should be more than 5%, and no whole slate should be over 15%, and you guys would be good. All right, so that's going to wrap up our NFL Week 7 bet and preview. Remember, this isn't about telling you who to bet. It's about walking through the systems, the numbers, and then the bankroll discipline to help put you in the best position to win, right? So if you got value out of this breakdown, do us a favor, right? Subscribe so you don't miss our Week 7 recap and then also our Week 8 preview. I want you also to like the video, so it really helps push this out to more bettors like yourself. And then drop a comment down below and let us know which systems you're tracking, or if there's a matchup that you want us to spotlight this coming week. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.